Good evening. Welcome to the Austin Coffee House. Come on in, let's visit. This is a place where you never know who you're going to run into and you never know what they're going to say. But we like to bring some people from here in Austin, Texas into your living room and get to know them a little bit. Tonight I'm kind of waiting to meet a good buddy of mine, an old friend I've known for years and years. It's a big part of the Austin scene. Councilmember Max Nofziger. In fact, I think I hear the stairs squeaking right now. Hey, Max.
Hey, Dad.
How in the world are you?
Well, pretty fine tonight. How are you doing?
Good to see you. Come on in, have a seat. Welcome to the Austin Coffee House.
It's a good night for coffee. A little chilly out there, you know.
Sorry you had to climb down the stairs. We always make people lower themselves to my level before they come in here.
Yeah, well, that's probably a good idea, you know, level playing field and all that.
Well, I'm glad we have that cool weather. It makes me bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and it's part of what I like about the season.
Yes, sir. Well, it's as good as a cup of coffee to perk you up in the morning, man. Just step outside and take on the chill.
Well, you know, it's funny, folks, because Max and I actually saw each other earlier this evening somewhere, and he knew that we had a date here at the Austin Coffee House, but he was told that it was a show about Austin coffee houses.
And there's a million of them.
Yeah, and so he spent all day going through the phone book and half the afternoon at the library researching.
Actually, just walking around downtown.
Actually had your staff do the researching while you walked around and did
sampled all those different lattes and cappuccinos and whatever all those drinks are.
You got a buzz that won't quit, right?
Yeah, we can talk for hours here now. Let's go on.
Well, what about that? I mean, while we're on the topic of Austin coffee houses, what do you think? I mean, what is this phenomenon, this coffee drinking binge that everyone's going on?
Well, it's really something lately, and I guess it's come down from the Northwest where, you know, they have that cool, drizzly, dark, dank
where it comes
weather.
from?
And, well, I think a lot of it's coming from there. And
I thought coffee came from, like, South America.
Well, yeah, they grow it down there, but they're in Seattle, they're turning it into the art form.
Okay.
Art form.
Yeah.
See? And that's what's percolating down to Austin.
I see.
But, you know, we are getting some change. You know, Starbucks there came right to the heart of downtown
National
Austin.
chain, right?
Yeah, 6th Street and Congress. And so that's given some competition to our local brewers and bean burners. You know, Rue de Maya and Cafe Solaires downtown and... Little City.
Little City's a good place. Never know who you're going to run into in Little City.
Yeah, I'm a regular over there. I might see you over there.
Well, I've been in there a time or two, and every time I'm in there, I see some distinguished individual, some luminary. I saw Ann Richards in there twice, and I've only been in there about 4 times. Does she hang out down there? I thought she was...
Well, I'm not seeing her that regular, but she does like downtown Austin. She always hangs out down there, and she's always urging us council members to provide some downtown housing because she'd like to live downtown.
Oh, that's
so, yeah.
Well,
she's into it.
She could move in with Emma Lou Lynn.
Yeah, probably. You can put up with the noise on 6th Street. Oh, you know, for Halloween, I was a street musician.
Really?
Down on 6th Street. I took my trumpet down there.
Did you throw out a little tin can? And...
No, I had my trumpet case open.
All right.
The cops came over and hassled me.
All right, all right.
It was real authentic.
That's great,
man. It was great.
Did you stand next to the guy with the big crown on?
No.
That guy's great. He's been down there for a long time now.
Oh, yeah. He's part of the scene.
What's his name?
Mr. King or something like that. Yeah. It's some name that fits his crown in here.
Right.
But no, I staked out a corner there near the Driscoll.
Yeah.
And there were a couple guys on jackasses across the way. They were in costume. I thought they were the wise men, but I heard later it was Sammy and Bob. People looking like Sammy and Bob. But anyhow, I had the most sincere compliment with my trumpet. I sat up there and I played a song, and as soon as I got done, one of those jackasses cranked up and make that and really carried on like that, and I felt that I had established, you know, really struck a chord.
What song did you play?
I think I'm in the Mood for Love. And anyhow, that jackass picked up
like
on
a
it.
mating call.
Yeah, and it's like he said, hey, that was pretty good. Here, I've got one, too. Listen to this, man. And he really blew some mean stuff, I'll tell you. Anyhow, it was great down on 6th Street. I thought I saw you down there.
No, I didn't make it this year. I'm too old to go down there. You know,
I thought there was a belly dancer went by, and I thought, God, that's got to be Arnsberger.
No. Last time I was down there, the Savages tried to do a gig at Esther's Follies. and revive our old Halloween masquerade party that we used to have that was so popular. And so we said, well, maybe we can bring it back, you know, and we booked a gig there at Esther's Follies, and we were only charging $3 a head. Wow. And we had hundreds of people stand outside the window and watch us, and about 10 paid $3 to come in. But we had a fun time. You know, it was actually the Uranium Savages. I'm going to go ahead and admit this on TV tonight. Hopefully we don't suffer federal prosecution. But it was actually our fault that the traffic goes one way.
You guys did that.
Like that. We played at the Ritz one night on Halloween. We were trying to revive the old Armadillo World Headquarters Jim Franklin Pumpkin Stomp.
Yeah.
So we had Jim Franklin as our special guest, and we played a set down in the Ritz Theater, and then we said, okay, everyone outside for the Pumpkin Stomp. And, you know, Franklin used to run the Ritz, you know. We went outside on top of the marquee, and this is the whole street's full of people. It's not any kind of, you don't have to go in a circle. This is back when it was just masses of people.
Jammed together, yeah.
And so they start gathering around the marquee, and Franklin's up there with all these pumpkins. And you've seen him, you remember him doing this, you know. He gets up on a ladder, and he's got this big, weird armadillo moose head set on and all this stuff, and he's up there in his 5 different pairs of sunglasses, and he's going, Peter, Peter, pumpkin eater, how do I, you know, and everybody's repeating after him, and then when he's through reciting the nursery rhyme, he'll drop a pumpkin, you know, and then, you know, we had about 10 pumpkins to do. It's kind of a ritual he established, and all of a sudden people started throwing stuff at him, and it was like all of a sudden this bottle went right off of Jim's head, you know, and so we decided we had to quit. Well, somebody, I won't mention any names, Jim Hamlin, no, set off a smoke grenade. We didn't tell him to. I didn't know he was going to do it. We knew nothing about it, but let me tell you something. 6th Street disappeared. The entire 6th Street, from the Ritz, the wind was kind of coming slightly from the east that night, and the entire block disappeared in smoke. People thought the Ritz Theater was on fire. People were running around going, fire, fire, you know, and the fire department is only a block and a half down Trinity, and they couldn't get there. It took them like an hour to get there because there were so many people on the street, they couldn't get there. If it was on fire, it would have been so after that, it all changed.
What a tale.
And now the story can be told.
Okay, well,
but it wasn't me. I didn't do it.
No kidding. Well, you know, that last time when it was not just a circular walking around, that was such a jam down there that I was dealing with a traffic ticket down at the municipal court, where the cop shop is.
Right.
And I was due to meet some people back at I don't know if it was Gordo's or one of the bars along there, and it took me about 2 hours to get from the cop shop into Gordo's.
Right. Well, it was probably inevitable anyway, but I think that was the icing on the cake.
Oh, man. A Uranium Savage Halloween. Okay.
Well, speaking of downtown, now you are very instrumental, very involved in the downtown subcommittee, are you not? Are you chair?
Well, yeah, I'm the chair of that body of the city council, and in fact started that subcommittee just about a little over a year ago, because I thought we needed to have a little focus on downtown.
Right.
And even though the council had formed the downtown management organization a while back, I thought it was important that the city elected leaders would be interested in downtown too. So we formed a subcommittee to work with the DMO and to get some things going downtown, and I think downtown has come along pretty nicely.
Right. Well, there's some questions I have about, you know, as I understand it, there's a movement to curtail some of the big events down there. Didn't the last nighttime event, what was it, the Texas Music and Heritage Festival or something?
Or was it the Swamp Stomp?
I don't know.
There
was some that got some complaints from the business owners and things downtown.
Yeah, I think it was the Swamp Romp, which was a nighttime event, one of those where you they fence in the street and charge admission to the street.
Right.
And that had a detrimental impact on some of the other business owners there along 6th Street.
Right.
They didn't like it.
The ones that charge cover and things.
Yeah, certainly. And so, yeah, there was a little dust up about that, and as a consequence, our staff prepared a draft ordinance that would eliminate those types of events.
Right.
Now, that came to the subcommittee. We talked about it a little bit, and I think those events will probably continue. The council will take action on this a little bit later. I think those events will probably continue, but they won't be at night, and they'll have to get a certain high percentage of the impacted business owners to agree to want to have the event.
So I can still have some panorama downtown, maybe, if I want.
Maybe.
Maybe next year, folks. Maybe Auditorium Shores, maybe downtown Austin. We'll have to wait and see if Max will help me out there a little bit. Anyway, for those of you, I can't imagine anyone in Austin is not familiar with Max Nofziger.
Are you kidding? Some people just got here last night.
Well, that's true.
Just unpacked the U-Haul.
Yeah.
And here they are.
And they're looking for something to do on Saturday night, and Saturday Night Live stinks, so here they are, watching this on TV.
Yeah, so they need to know all about me.
Yes, that's true. Max Nofziger, an illustrious individual here in Austin, Texas, is currently city council member. He recently was mayor pro tem. He's been a, three-time mayoral candidate?
Just twice for mayor.
Two-time mayoral candidate. He's been very instrumental in the music scene and the downtown development scene. This is one of my favorite stories. Let's go ahead and get this out of the way because we always run out of time on this show. We get off on tangents and things. One of my favorite stories is Max's arrival to Austin, Texas, because it was purely coincidence, or was it black magic? We're not sure.
Yeah, serendipity. It was just being where,
But it wasn't intentional. You weren't on the way here.
No, I wasn't, and I didn't do some computer scan and comparing all the cities in America that pointed to Austin as the one to be.
Your travel agent wasn't on.
No. I was. The story is, and it's a good Austin tale because a lot of people get to Austin under similar circumstances. Not that they plan to come here, but it kind of captures certain people, and. This was in 73, July the 5th, the day after Willie Nelson's first 4th of July picnic. I remember it so well. And I was visiting friends in Houston, and I was hitchhiking then out to L.A. to visit some friends of mine who'd moved out there. And it was hot, you can imagine, on 5th of July.
Oh, yeah. Hotter than June Bride and Feather Bed.
Man, it was. And I got a good start out of Houston. My friends drove me out to the west edge of town. And but it was really hard to get a ride. I was a hippie back then. I had hair clear down to here, and back then there was some tension between rednecks and hippies. You may recall.
Oh yeah.
It was right after Easy Rider.
Not in Texas.
that movie Easy Rider?
Oh yeah.
It just come out not too long before that. Anyhow, I had a hell of a time getting a ride, and it took me all day to get from Houston to Columbus down on I-10. Literally all day, and I was just sunburned. I was fried.
Yeah.
And then about 4 cars, as the sun was going down. 4 different cars stopped and offered me rides to Austin. And I had a sign that said L.A. And I thought, can't these people, I turned them all down.
But they still pulled over and stopped.
It was like they were insisting I go to Austin. I turned them all down. Finally, a car stopped and let out a hitchhiker. And he and I got to talking, and he was going to Austin. And said, well, you're getting nowhere fast. If you want to go to Austin, you can stay at my place. So I said, okay, I'll go to Austin. And that night, he took me to the split rail. Well, Mother Earth first. We went down.
Oh, yeah.
He lived right up behind Mother Earth there.
Where Whole Foods was.
Yeah, until just lately. So we went to Mother Earth for just a little bit, and then we hitchhiked across the river to the split rail. It was Sunday night, Marcia Ball, Freedom and the Fire Dogs, holding down their regular gig. And I went in there, David, and there were hippies and rednecks sitting together in this beer joint. Yeah. And I thought, oh, man. This is going to explode.
You died and gone to heaven,
No, I said, this is going to explode.
You were worried about it,
Yeah, I said, these people are going to get, have a few beers, and then there's going to be a huge fight.
Right.
So I picked a seat close to the exit. But as the evening wore on, it was clear that they were just digging the music. And that was a real clue to me that Austin was a pretty special place.
Right.
If these two warring factions at the time could, sit together and enjoy the music.
Yeah.
So that was a great introduction to Austin. The next day, we got a 6-pack of Lone Star, and you remember a song going around back then about, it had a line in it, Lone Star sipping and skinny dipping.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we did that out on Barton Creek.
Right, Campbell's Hall, right?
Yeah, we took that out. We hitchhiked out there to the west edge of town, and this guy knew the trail back in there, and we set that 6-pack in the water and just spent the day out there, and I recognized that this was paradise. I said, man, this is just heaven. I never did go to L.A. I hung around for about 10 days, and I hitchhiked back up to Ohio, where I'd started out from, and I got 2 jobs in 2 different factories. I was working 17 hours a day to get the money together so I could move down to Austin, and I did that the next year. So it's funny how the experience of the introduction to Austin music and then the introduction to Barton Creek
all in one day.
Yeah, it kind of stuck with me through all 21 years I've been here now, and really through my political work too. So it was a great introduction. Great town.
Let's back up even further than that, a little further than that. What were you doing? I mean, you were visiting friends in Houston. Did you hitchhike to Houston? What were you doing before then? Were you already out of high school?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I had graduated from college in 70.
Okay.
And instead of marrying my pen mate, I was in a fraternity, instead of marrying my pen mate and starting teaching, I had a teaching certificate. Yeah. Like all my fraternity brothers, I decided to go this other path, which was just starting up back up in Michigan in that time in 1970. Well, that was right after Kent State, and all the first Earth Day birthday was in 70, I believe. Anyhow, so I
political activism was emerging,
the war and all that. So I kind of started down this other path, and I basically traveled around the country. Did a lot of hitchhiking. I had a Volkswagen van for a while that I drove all around and lived in different parts of the country, just kind of getting out and about and seeing what was going on, and I came across Austin, and when I was in Austin that first stretch, I knew this was the place I was supposed to be, So later on, looking back at that period, it's like I was looking for where I was supposed to be on the planet, and I found Austin. And so I think that's worked out pretty well for me. But, prior to that, I was just a real straight kid growing up on the farm outside this small town in Ohio. Is a Mennonite community. The Mennonites.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Were you from a Mennonite family?
Yeah, my dad's family was Mennonite.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and, they're a little more liberal than the Amish.
Right.
Because we had cars, but in my dad's church, you had to peel the chrome off the car or else paint it black. You couldn't have something that shiny and ornate, So they called them black bumper Mennonites. And TV was, and card playing and stuff, drinking, none of that. You couldn't do any of that stuff. Yeah. But anyhow, so that's kind of the climate I grew up in, and then, worked on the farm, 4-H kid and all that kind of stuff, and real straight arrow, good student. I was valedictorian in my high school class.
Oh, really?
Yeah, isn't that something? There were 88 kids in my class. Yeah. And I was the top dog, and so got a scholarship to this little Methodist college just 40 miles away in Michigan. It's where my big sister had gone, so I kind of followed her up there. And went there and graduated in 4 years. Degree in political science, oddly enough, minor in history. And
but did you intend to do something with political science, or was it just what interested you? You weren't sure what lay ahead. You didn't have any goals to...
No, I never thought I'd run for office back then. I tell you what, I went to college as a math major, but I ran into calculus, and that convinced me to do something else.
Chinese arithmetic. There ain't much harder than ain't much stuff harder than that.
There weren't any numbers by then. It was all letters.
Right.
So anyhow, my roommate was in political science because he was going to go to U of M and go to law school, which he did, amazingly enough. And then we had a new professor right out of Harvard, a young guy, head of the department at Adrian College. That's where I went to school. He was a real egghead, but a real likable guy. So between getting washed out of math and calculus, and then through my roommate's influence and that I liked this new professor, I got into political science.
Interesting.
The main thing was, in math and calculus, you have problems that you have to do every night.
Right.
In those reading courses like history and political science, you can kind of let it pile up until the day before the test. So that really suited my schedule. I'll tell you, in college, one of my fraternity brothers gave me some advice early on. He said, don't let your books get in the way of your education. Right. And I really took that to heart. And, I discovered all sorts of things like, pizza, women, beer, fraternity life. So college was a real kind of liberating experience for me.
Yeah, I wasn't a valedictorian, but I learned one thing that got me through with fairly good grades was always go to class.
Bingo.
If you go to class and take good notes, then you can usually make at least B's on the test. Even
Yeah.
if you don't do a bunch of the outside stuff, if you at least go to class and take good notes, then you can usually make good grades.
That's key, and that's good advice for any young folks who are
That's
out there
right.
tuned in. Take it from David Arnsberger, a wild guy, uranium savage all the way. But
it was a lot easier back then because the University of Texas, they opened up the Texas Union in a temporary building behind Gregory Gym, and the bar opened at 10 o'clock. So it was like a pitcher of beer before class every morning. Really made it easy to go to school. No, just
well, I'm
that's not
sure.
true, Mom.
Okay, I was going to say I'm not sure
That was
they
back
should take
then.
it from you, Ben.
Yeah. Well, very interesting. And you were recently Mayor Pro Tem, very distinguished title, very distinguished honor.
Yeah, well, you know how you get that? It's by being the senior guy. It's by
Right.
hanging around longest.
You've been around the longest.
and wearing out the
Well,
other
you have to
ones.
be reelected or you wouldn't be around the longest.
Well, that's it.
And
That's
speaking
the
of
key.
reelection,
Yeah.
I mean, this is not a politically oriented show. We haven't really been talking politics here. We're not here to try and pry things out of you. Have you already announced?
Yeah.
Oh, you're not going to run.
I'm not going to run.
Okay, well, then you've heard it.
Yeah,
For-
it's official.
For about the 10th time here on Austin Coffee House.
Some people
What
still
are you
don't
going
know.
to do?
Some people still don't know, especially those people that just unpacked the U-Haul last night. They wouldn't have known that.
What are your plans?
I'll tell you.
Here's another thing. Didn't you have your own business, a phone answering business? Answering service? Do you still?
I don't, and I never did, but I worked at one.
Oh, okay.
For this nice lady, Nancy Felice. You may know her.
I just for some reason I thought you had your own.
No, I
answering
worked
service
there.
business.
For 3 years, I answered phones.
Oh. And how long did you sell flowers?
8 years.
8 years.
Yeah, at Congressman Oltorf.
Right.
And, that turned out to be the best corner in town. I think
Yeah.
I still hold the record for single-day Valentine's sales.
Wow.
But then, 6th Street started to get happening.
Yeah.
And the flower people thought, well, let's try some sales down there. So I got to go down there on 6th Street,
Right.
which was like semi-retirement. I mean, you got
Right.
to work at night.
Yeah.
You got to deal with pedestrian traffic instead of
Instead of
vehicles.
cars, right.
Yeah, so it was a lot easier, and
Yeah.
and really
And you
enjoyable.
paved the
down
way
at 6th
for
Street.
people like crazy Carl Hickerson Bull.
Yeah.
And who's the little guy? Is he Carl too? Isn't he?
No, Sam.
Sam. That's
Sam.
right.
Yeah, he's been doing it. He must be doing it now for going
He's
on
a real trooper. Yeah.
6 or 7 years, anyhow.
Yeah.
But one thing I learned on Dan the Flower Man, don't you?
No, I don't.
You don't know
think so.
Dan?
I bet I probably do.
Oh,
but
you
I
must
didn't.
know him. He's one of those Austin characters. Worked for the flower people for years. Anyhow, he gave me a guitar on my 30th birthday, an acoustic guitar
Right.
that I took out there in the street corner. And you know how in Austin about every other person's a guitar player.
Yes.
So as they passed by the street corner, they would show me, all these people passing by would show me a song or maybe just a chord or two. And in fact, a couple of them were regulars. They'd bring other instruments down there and play with me on the street corner.
Mm-hmm.
So I did learn just a little bit about the guitar. And I've been practicing lately. I don't know, can you see those
Calluses,
on the
yeah,
fingers?
golly.
So,
So are you trying to tell us that you're launching a new career?
Well, see, I'm getting around
Is
to
this the artist
answering.
that's emerging?
Yeah, I see. I'm getting around to answering your question of what I may be going to do.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't know, but I'm going to do it in Austin,
Right.
whatever it is.
Right.
And about 20 years ago, I had this political interest and this musical interest.
Right.
And they were both kind of neck and neck. I wasn't doing for shit at either of them. But they were kind of neck and neck. And finally, my political side got ahead. And now, for all these years, I've been working politics, but now I think the Pisces in me,
Well,
and the musician, it may be starting to emerge.
maybe you ought to join up with Bill Oliver, and you could be Allzigger.
Allzigger.
Kind of like Fromhox or something, And Fromhox, you could be, the Allzigger band or something.
Something like that. Well, we'll see what'll happen, but,
Well, you can
Austin's
come
a-
sit in with the Savages anytime, man. Of course, we don't play very much.
Well, I don't know. I think maybe just a solo career or a solo start anyhow.
Yeah.
I used to play on 6th Street a little bit.
Yeah.
At a restaurant that.
Oh, we should have brought your guitar.
I should have brought my guitar. I thought we were going to talk about coffee shops, but you know what? I'm working up some coffee tunes.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that I may take on the coffee shop circuit.
Oh, that would be good.
Because you probably remember way back in the 50s. I mean, in
I
the
kind of
beatniks.
remember.
You remember
Oh, yeah,
the
Beatniks.
Right. Where'd they get their
Mamie
start?
G. Krebs.
Where'd they get their start?
Coffee shops.
Coffee shops.
Yeah.
Coming around again, I'll tell you, buddy.
Yeah.
We're getting old enough that we're going to see stuff come around once or twice.
Well, if you go around on a coffee shop tour, can I go and play the bongos with you?
Absolutely.
Right.
You need to wear a beret, though.
Oh, I'll wear a beret. I don't know if I want to grow a goatee or not, but
Nothing's wrong with your facial hair you got right now. I think that would pass.
it could be.
See, the beatniks are coming around here in Austin. It's coming around again.
Yeah.
And I got to work up a few more coffee tunes, you know, but then I'll be ready to take it on.
Well, I mean, that's great because this punk thing that came along a few years ago just kind of swept the nation where all of a sudden it was style over substance and form over content and you know, all of a sudden it's like we got that kind of president, we got that kind of Speaker of the House, we got that kind of, I mean, it's like everybody's a punk these days. They've got an attitude, but they don't have any substance.
That's it. It's old fresh and twang and not enough soul.
Right.
I mean, we got
and beatnik was almost the opposite. It was almost lots of substance, but not much of an attitude. It was just kind of like, this is the way it is.
In a really understated delivery.
Yeah, right.
Beatniks. Yeah, so I think it's coming around again, and it's happening right here in Austin. And maybe I'll be a part of it. You know, I used to play at this restaurant just off of 6th Street, La Trois Musketeers. That means, to you and me, that means the Three Musketeers.
But I don't remember that.
You don't remember?
No.
Well, you're lost. It was really a good place to eat. They had incredible food for moderate prices.
A Trois Musketeers? Where was that?
It was just north on, must have been Trinity. Just a half a block off of 6th Street on the east side. It's where that loan shop is now. I think there's some savings and loan there.
Kind of weird. I missed that.
Yeah, but anyhow, he discovered me on the flower corner.
Yeah.
This guy.
Yeah.
Who is still has a business on 6th Street, an antique shop.
Yeah.
But he discovered me playing the guitar, and he said, I want you to play at my restaurant. And I was terrible back then. I mean, I'm not very good now, but I was really bad then.
Yeah.
And I said, I can't do that. But he could barely speak English. So it didn't matter to him that I could barely play the guitar. So I went down there, and I played this gig 2 nights a week, and they fed me, and I actually made some money.
Nice.
And my highlight, I got to tell everybody, the highlight was when Lady Bird Johnson had a dinner there, and the Secret Service came over and kicked me out. That was the highlight of my musical career. When I got asked,
were you playing and they asked you to leave?
Yeah.
Oh, it was like labor.
Get him out of here. Yeah, they didn't need me. They did need my entertainment.
Yeah. Did they pay you?
Well, I don't remember
They could have
for sure,
at least given you a tip or something.
but I was really honored to be asked to leave by Lady Bird's
Secret
Service guy. Yeah, I thought that was
It
pretty
is
cool.
an honor. Well, I had an experience with the Secret Service. One time we were with John Kelso at a chili cook-off, and we acted like we were he was running for president of the United States.
Oh, yeah.
So we acted like we were Secret Service.
Uh-huh.
And like somebody had a blank gun or something, we ran over and searched him and did all this stuff. Well, the next day, Kelso got a call from the Secret Service. He said, who are these guys impersonating Secret Service?
Oh, they don't take that lightly.
Oh, no. I respect them very much. They have a very difficult job.
Well, they have a lot of esprit.
Yeah, they're good guys.
Yeah.
Well, no one's given me a signal yet, but I see by the clock on the wall it's just about time to go. It sure has gone by fast.
Well, it has, and we didn't get one phone call.
No, well, this isn't the call-in
it's
show.
not a call-in show.
This isn't the Joyce and Mel show. It's the Austin Coffee House. We unplugged the phone here, so in the words of the immortal Harley Berg, thank you, Max, for coming by.
My pleasure.
I don't know if you remember Harley Berg. He's one of my favorite characters. Amigas y chiquitas, grosse und kleine Freundin, big and little friends. Keep them running, flying, swimming, jumping. Support your local political activist, songwriter, singer, and Mayor Pro Tem, because they're your buddies. And remember, when people are free to do as they please, they usually imitate each other.